You are listening to Nerd Best Friends, a podcast that covers the nerdy conversations you're already having, or wish you could. It's the nerdiest thing you'll do this week.
This is Annalise.
This is Rob.
And we are your Nerd Best Friends.
We love a good fight scene in our nerd stuff. How about you? Welcome to Nerd Best Friends, the podcast where we talk comics, D&D, pop culture, cosplay, basically all the stuff that makes you go, these are my people. If you're feeling it, do us a favor. Follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a fellow nerd. Help us grow the nerd herd. Now, strap in, roll for initiative, and let's get nerdy.
This is episode 94, and it's time for a good old-fashioned brawl, a rumble in the Bronx, mano-y-mano, me versus you. It's top 5 pop culture fight scenes. How's it going, Rob?
It's going okay, except I feel like I'm threatened now. I guess I misunderstood the episode. I thought we were talking about fight scenes in movies. You're talking about beating the snot out of me.
Wait, what does mano-y-mano even mean?
Man and man.
I don't know. Hand in hand? Who knows?
Hand to hand?
Maybe.
That's right. Mano is hand, not dude. That's
man.
Hombre y hombre.
Well, before we get to our best fight scenes, we have nerd mail.
Nerd mail.
Okay, so episode 86, handful of episodes ago, we had a Talk Nerdy to Me conversation, you, me, and Dr. Intern Joan, where we talked about our favorite trivia shows. I don't remember which ones.
I remember that, yeah.
Kind of, yeah. I know I said remote control. I don't remember which one you said.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
And I think oh, that's right, maybe.
I don't know.
And then Dr. Intern Joan, I think, mentioned the Tootsie Pop, the Tootsie Roll tree or whatever that was on Family Feud.
Something like that, yep.
Yeah, something abstract. Well, one of our favorite Patreon supporters and nerds, Ismail, wrote us in and said he liked At Midnight, which I'd never heard of before. Have you heard of At Midnight? Yeah, I've never heard of that show before. And Win Ben Stein's Money. Now, that was a good one. I think that one was on VH1.
Remember.
Ben Stein is a funny story, money. Right? Ben Stein has had a one-hit wonder role in Ferris Bueller's Day Off that is iconic with the anybody, anybody. And he's an actual scholar. And somewhere along the lines, I think it was VH1 or MTV, gave him a game show, Win Ben Stein's Money, which he used his deadpan humor and people had to outsmart him on the trivia. So that's a good call, Ismail. He said he thinks it was on Comedy Central. I think he's right. I think it was Comedy Central.
I think so, too. I think that was in like the heyday of Comedy Central where they were just putting together all kinds of different programming, and they're like, we got to have a game show. People love game shows.
And they also had a dating game show at the same time too. I don't remember what that was called, but I remember Comedy Central had a dating game show too.
Date Ben Stein, I think it was, where you
maybe yes, and it was you win a date to sit in silence with Ben Stein while he nerded out about quantum physics with you.
Maybe he sat there and talked to you about like the most boring thing over some like mashed potatoes and chicken strips.
You know, they got these potatoes from Idaho. You know where Idaho is.
Fun fact about Idaho.
Anybody?
Yep, totally.
Anybody? Do you know where these potatoes are from? No? Yeah, that's your date with Ben Stein. Well, thank you, Ismail, for that.
Short-lived show. Didn't get past the first season. I don't know.
Date Ben Stein just really didn't take off.
You know what I think happened? I think it got canceled after just a few episodes because he found true love, which is always a danger.
And he was like, I can't go on any more dates.
Yep, I found my soulmate.
I went on a date where it wasn't pure silence. She was able to answer my questions and have a conversation with me. I'm never going on another date again.
And that person turned into politician Jill Stein.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Nope.
But hey, game shows, fun facts.
Hey,
go fact check us. Go do it. I dare you to.
Hey, way to shut down that episode. Way to transition out of that segment.
Send in your deep thoughts, nerd questions, or talk nerdy to me subjects that you'd like us to cover by sliding into our DMs, or send those topics in an email to podcast@nerdbestfriends.com, especially if you are Jill Stein.
Well, or, it's fine.
All right, let's fight.
Now, if you are the secret love child of Bill Stein and Jill Stein, Or Ben Stein and Jill Stein. I think his name is Bill Stein. We'll welcome Bill Stein on the...
Bill Stein. William Stein. William Steinfeld Stein.
Yep.
Bill for short.
Seinfeld was really big. Lots of Seinfelds out there, born in the late 90s.
Yeah, let's fight.
All right.
Hey, one of the most iconic things about pop culture is when we watch our favorite nerdy things and there are fight scenes.
There's fight scenes in everything. Right? They jokingly call it in comic books and comic book movies the superhero handshake, because anytime two superheroes meet, they have to fight first and demonstrate their powers to each other for sort of this weird expositional way.
And I'll even say, like in popular movies, I was thinking of putting in the culminating scene in Stupid Crazy Love, which is one of those movies, if you've never seen it, it's a rom-com. It has all these actors who all have these seemingly different... It's that trope where they all have different storylines, and somewhere there's some culminating scene where all intertwines and you figure out who knows who and stuff. This one is, Marissa Tomei's in this movie, Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, the dude from 40-Year-Old Virgin, the main guy. I'm blanking on his name. That dude.
Yep.
Famous
that
comedian.
Guy.
That guy.
Adam. No.
I
picture him. I can see his face.
His face is right here. My gosh, I can't go on without looking it up.
Playing the part of Rob Cooper today will be Annalise Alvarez.
My goodness. It's going to be so stupid once I look up his name. Oh, because I'm looking up the wrong movie.
I'm like trying to rack my brain to beat you to it, and I can't.
Crazy Stupid Love is the name of the movie anyways. I said Stupid Crazy Love, so let's call the name what it is. It is Steve Carell.
Oh my God. All that would come to my mind was Adam.
Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, Kevin Bacon, Marissa Tomei. There's a lot of people in this movie. So it's one of those rom-coms in which, whatever. But there's a fight scene in this culminating scene that is so hilarious and so good, and it's a big payoff. So the entire point I was trying to make is it's not just superhero movies with fight scenes. There's lots of fight scenes in pop culture.
That's right. There's fight scenes in everything because we love our stunt coordinators and we love either hilarious, slap fights and a way to deliver the slapstick, or awesome epic karate fights that we see in our action movies.
Absolutely. And this is a top 5 for both myself and Rob. Rob, how about you go first? What is your and I always have to ask this question. Are we in rank order? I am in rank order.
I am in rank order. Did we have runner-ups?
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. So I came back to the list.
I just thought of my runner-up and then it left my brain when I was trying to think of Steve Carell's name. Shoot, I had it. What did I just think of? I was like, oh, runner-up. Perfect. I got it. Okay, well, I just came up with a new one.
Okay. I'm glad you said something because I came back to our document this morning and I'll explain why, but I also have a runner-up, an honorable mention that I contemplated switching out on my list.
Okay, honorable mention for me is Star Wars, The Phantom Menace, the lightsaber duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul.
Yes, that's a really good call.
Awesome sword fight. It is this super cool 2-on-1. Darth Maul's got the double lightsaber. And the most important thing about it was, if you remember, like when we got lightsaber fights in the Star Wars trilogy, right? Original Star Wars, it was real tame, right? If you think about Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi, it's fine for 1977 or whatever, but it was a dude in a costume that didn't move very well versus like an old dude towards the end of his acting career. And it was pretty much nothing. It got a little bit better when we get to like an Empire Strikes Back. You can see the evolution of the stunts and the sword fighting. But then 30 years later, when Phantom Menace came out and we got that lightsaber fight with those 3 people, the dual wielding and the different colors and all the stuff, it blew us away. It was like, it can be like this? This is incredible. And that really sparked it just getting better and better, and then way off the rails when you got Yoda and Count Dooku CGI flipping around and stuff. Like, it gets a little silly. But that Phantom Menace sword fight with the stunts and the choreography was a turning point in that franchise, where now when we see awesome sword fighting in all of the kind of extended universe things, it is primo because of that movie and that awesome lightsaber fight.
It's like George Lucas was cutting edge when the first trilogy came out and they improved it each time. But then when this one came out, it was really how to maximize your stunt doubles, how to maximize your choreographer, how to maximize the costumes so they're not so cumbersome and they don't get in the way. Like, it was a mixture of all of it. And I remember thinking how fast it was. Like, it was just going crazy, and we had never seen anything like that.
And I don't know a ton about it, but it also has to do with just the film technique of that. In the original trilogy, they had to paint on the cells of the film one by one to get that glowing effect.
Yeah.
And then you could just, in the 90s, you could just like map some kind of computer generation over the whatever and make it look cool. I think. I don't know if they were still painting it on in the 90s, but I'm guessing not. So. I'm guessing there was 30 years of efficiency that could make those lightsabers look like lightsabers. Yeah. That might have a lot to do with it as well.
You can see behind the scenes stuff where they're in front of a green screen filming those scenes. They're on a set with a green screen behind them so that they could use
easily and automatically do those lightsabers. Super cool. I'd like to learn more about that actually. Anyway,
For sure.
Should I go into my number 5 or you want to tell us your runner-up?
I'll do my honorable mention real quick and then we'll get into our top 5. So my honorable mention is because very recently this month of February, I was rewatching all of the Scream films, all 6, 2 a week, give or take, and Scream 7 opens in 2 days from now. So in this rewatch, there are a couple of them that I've seen maybe once or twice. Like Scream 1, Scream 2, I was 18 and 19 when those films came out. So I watched those. I used to have them on VHS. The third Scream I've seen a few times, but it's been a really long time. And there is a fight scene at the end of Scream 3 between the main character, Sydney, and her half-brother, Roman, who is the ghost face in that film.
Spoiler
that fight
alert.
Scene is actually really good. Between the two of them, Sydney Prescott is the ultimate final girl, and it really shines that she has survived 2 of these and gets to this third, much like you see Laurie in Halloween. You see Jamie Lee Curtis get better at fighting Michael Myers as the years go by. It's a really good choreographed fight scene that looks legit, looks to the death dangerous, and it's got some highs and lows. It's just done really, really well. So I came back to the script like, ooh, do I put that? Like, it was really good. It was tense. It's been a really long time since I've seen Scream 3. So it was actually really tense and really like, even though I knew what happened, I knew the ultimate result in the end, it was still like kind of edge of my seat, which was surprising to me. So yeah, that battle between Sydney Prescott and Roman at the end of Scream 3 is my honorable mention.
Okay, let's jump into it.
Let's get into the top
5. Number 5 for Roberto is basically any fight scene in a Michael Bay Transformers movie.
Okay.
Because I can't tell you I love these movies. I remember the first one coming out and like really enjoying it and being like blown away. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we live in a world where CGI is so awesome. We can make Transformers doing karate and shooting laser guns look so cool. End of story. Then they kept coming out with them. And I don't know much about it. I guess if I were to predict, I don't think Michael Bay loves Transformers. I think Michael Bay loves making big, loud action movies, and Transformers made money. So we have like 9 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
And there are varying levels of okay. But the part that's always rules is the fight scenes with the big loud music and the awesome sound effects and all the gears and all the whirling things. And like, what are we going to do this time? Well, this time he's going to chop everything's head off with a giant robot sword. What about this one? This one, he's going to turn into a truck halfway through the jump and then he's going to explode out with his fist from the thing. Like, they do an amazing job on these fight scenes. And that's really the only reason I ever want to watch a Transformers movie. I can't really, like, I could probably figure out and remember what the plot of the first one is. I can't remember the plot of any of those other movies. Like, they don't really matter. There's always a bunch of focus on whoever the, like, human star of the movie is. Couldn't care less about that. Like, I want to watch Transformers movies. I just need a supercut where all the people are edited out and it's just one robot karate laser fight after another. I was doing some research for this and just going on YouTube and being like, Transformer fights, and that's what people have done. Here's a 30-minute montage of the most awesome Transformer fights you've ever seen, and just one after another after another.
I bet that exists. I bet someone's done that on YouTube. I bet.
I should dig a little bit deeper, but I had no problem. If you're like, you know what, that's funny. I didn't grow up with Transformers. I don't really know anything about Transformers. Go to YouTube and just be like, epic Transformer fight scene. Turn it on. You'll be like, yeah, that is definitely giant robots doing karate and shooting each other with lasers. It's really good.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on all of that. They are pretty amazing scenes. My complaint about Michael Bay's movies is those fight scenes are so, I'll say, camera jarring that they're hard for me to watch. Like, they are. There's a little too much movement for me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is for sure a thing. And they go on way too long.
Yes. But that's what you like about it.
It's one of those things. It's like, that's what a lot of people like about it. To me, it's like overstimulating. It's weird to say like I get tired, but like, you know, when you see like something awesome in a movie and you're in the theater and like your adrenaline starts going up and your heart starts beating, I'm done with that. Like my body's like, okay, it's time to calm down. And that fight scene is only halfway through.
Yeah.
Like I don't have
ebb
enough
and
adrenaline.
flow for sure.
Exactly. I don't have
and
enough
there's
adrenaline
no
to
ebb
keep
and
up with
flow.
this.
It's just ebb. It's go, go,
I
go.
would say I just as an addendum to the Michael Bay Transformers movie fight scenes, I will also say a fight scene that will always stick with me is the opening fight scene of Transformers, the movie, the animated movie from 1984, where the Decepticons just like, basically Transformers is always about selling toys. And when they came out with the movie, they're like, well, we need new toys. So we got to clear the board so new characters can come in and we can sell more toys. So there's this scene in the Transformers 1984 movie when I'm like 6 years old, where the Decepticons just like land in and start blasting everybody. And they literally on screen murder half the Autobots. Just like all your favorites. Ironhide, he's dead. Wheeljack, his head just came off. Bumblebee, his heart exploded. And I was just like, what is happening? I remember that movie coming home and just being shook. As a little kid, my dad took me to that movie and, you know, walking back in the kitchen, my mom was like, oh, how was the movie? And I'm just like, and my dad going, you didn't tell me they were going to die. Like, he didn't know how to deal with it. I'm just like shell shocked. It was amazing. So shout out to
and then you went out and got a whole bunch of new toys for Christmas that year.
You know, I remember watching, you know, and then it pivoted in the show and it was all these like new Transformers too. And it was like, it was fine. But then of course they had to bring Optimus Prime back from the dead, like Jesus, like robot Jesus. And then, cause that's what everybody really wanted. They're like, we're not watching the show if you don't have Optimus Prime in it. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah. We riot without Optimus Prime.
The guy who took over the matrix of leadership, just for your Transformers lore, the robot, after Optimus Prime died and handed off the matrix of leadership to the other robot's name was Hot Rod, and he was like this sports car with flames on the side. It gets worse. When he became the leader of the Transformers, he changed his name to Rodimus Prime. That's a real thing.
Don't even know what to say about that.
You're supposed to say Rodimus Prime was my nickname in college.
I wouldn't even claim that. Who would say Rodimus Prime was their band name in high school, like, or their wrestling name? No, it's not good enough.
Nope. That's a real thing.
Gives a bad taste in my mouth.
Ew. You know what? Didn't have to say that, but you sure did.
I'll just move on to my number 5.
Yes, Transformers, Robot Karate. What's your number 5?
Good one. My number 5 is, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of a cheat because it's not actual fighting, it's interpreted fighting, but cannot escape the amazing choreography of Jerome Robbins from the 1961 West Side Story. Now, a lot of choreographers in the decades since model themselves for musicals and movie musicals after this. A lot of dancers studied his dance stuff to become dancers in the industry. The choreography in this film is so iconic. It won a ton of Academy Awards for various reasons, and a lot of it in the Steven Spielberg version of West Side Story that came out a handful of years ago. There's a lot of nods to the choreography from the 1961 film. In particular, the 1961 film opens in the slums streets of New York, Manhattan, and a street battle between the Jets and the Sharks. But it is all done. Baby. Yeah, exactly. It's all done through dancing moves that emulate emotion, anger, hatred, and visually so you can see immediately who is in what gang. Now, granted, it's also race related, so you can tell by complexities and colors of their hair. And the Sharks wear darker colors that are more calling to the Puerto Rican flag. The white immigrant Sharks, Jets, wear lighter colors, more like, it's not so red, white, and blue, but they're lighter, like greens and yellows. But the choreography in this opening scene, there is no dialogue in the opening scene to this movie for a good maybe 2.5 minutes. And it is all done through dance, including the end of the scene where they are actually making physical contact with each other. But you can still tell it's a fight, but they're not actually fighting. It is all done through very choreographed and acrobatic dance moves where, they're knocking each other over and then police come and break up their fight. It is really brilliantly done. It is one of my favorite fight scenes of all movies. movies.
And what I remember about that is the cinematography as well, the camera work of like close-ups on shoes moving down the streets and like shots of just top halves of bodies where they're like all leaned perfectly in parallel lines and other like wide shots of other things. Like the editing there is very impactful for that as well, right?
Yes. And there's a lot of stories of just about how rigorous these scenes were and how almost manic Jerome Robbins was in making sure that the shot was just right. Yeah, you can see it throughout. The one of the most famous stories is when they did, not this scene, but on the rooftop, the scene for America, where it like he helped that cinematography on where they need to be focusing the camera. And then the other famous story is the ballroom scene when Tony and Maria first meet. It was apparently this super humid summer day on the East Coast, and it was 100 degrees in that gym, and they filmed that thing over days, that one scene over days of people like passing out from heat exhaustion. He was so almost manic about it, but it pays off because, man, that opening scene is so good. It's so good. And it's a great fight scene.
What a great start, because it's kind of a non-traditional, what we would think of as a fight scene. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. All right. What do you got for number 4?
For number 4, I had to put this in because we were talking maybe a couple months ago, we did an episode on Jessica Jones, and we looked at the comic book Alias, and we looked at the Jessica Jones series, talked about that entire Marvel thing that Netflix did with the Defenders. They had a couple seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, although you can't even call it Iron Fist. I'll never get over it. Until the day I die, I'm going to be mad about Iron Fist. But I think there was definitely a whole plan there, like Marvel does, and especially, 10 years ago, Marvel was doing, it's like, oh, we have this whole roadmap, and we're going to do all these characters, and it's going to be this grand design and culminate into this other thing. But I don't think it exists if the very first show, Daredevil season 1, isn't awesome, doesn't work out, because it's one of those things like we talked about in that episode, very different, right? This ain't your dad's comic book show. This is bloody and gritty and hard and stuff. So if audience didn't respond so well, they probably would have just tanked it and moved on to something else. But there are 10 different seasons in that, kind of alternate universe there on Netflix. And one of the things that was so successful about this show was the fight scenes and the choreographed fight scenes. But in particular, there is anyone who watches the show, if I say the hallway fight, everybody knows that episode. It was either episode 2 or 3. The episode opens with this fight scene. And I should have looked up how many minutes long this fight scene is, but it is minutes long. And it is a one take, one shot, the camera never cuts, choreographed fight scene. And it was people were going crazy for it when this thing first came out. And you just watch it over and over again and see like, no, this is one take, and it's minutes long, and it's it's in this hallway. There's all these bad guys, and like kind of in that kind of dark, gritty way. It's not like a comic book movie where like, oh, people are coming and I punch this guy and I kick this guy and I flip this guy over my shoulder and then they just kind of disappear like minions. No, these guys are tired and sweaty and hurt and mad that they just got, kicked in the stomach, and they're getting back up and they're fighting Daredevil, and you can just see Daredevil just getting exhausted, and you're exhausted watching it, and there's no cuts, there's no edits, there's no nothing. And they, you see like the guys moving. It kind of tells a story. There's a little girl like tied up in a chair that's been kidnapped or whatever, and they're dragging her into the next room, and he's trying to get there. Guys are pulling him back, and it never stops. There's no edits, and it's so cool. Just an absolute, it changed what we expected from that comic book genre once we saw this. Like, oh, you could actually take these stunts and this choreography to another level and actually do something different and artistic in a way to really showcase what these stunt coordinators, stunt actors can do. Absolutely awesome. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, again, an easy YouTube search to watch the hallway fight from Daredevil season 1.
I have not watched Daredevil, so this sounds like something I'm going to have to do anyways. But as you were explaining it, it reminded me also of the Captain America scene against Hydra in the elevator. He's got nowhere to escape.
Great one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the way, as you're describing. I think that one cuts. It reads like a nonstop, but because it's that small area, it changes the angles of the fight. But yeah, that's what it reminded me of because those guys also, they're in the elevator, so you can't have more minions pop up. So these guys have to get up and keep fighting him. Yeah. That's
a really good call. That's a fun one as well. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
It's also kind of reminiscent, not a fight scene, but like one of the, probably my favorite part of the Firefly movie, Serenity, that we also watched for the show, is the opening scene of that movie is a one-shot walk following Malcolm Reynolds through the entire ship with no cuts and edits, and it's like, film. I love
opening scene of Boogie Nights, not a fight scene, but also same thing. It's all the way cut until the moment you meet Dirk. It's uncut until the moment you meet Dirk Diggler. It's the owner of the nightclub who's walking through the nightclub and saying hi to everyone. This is how you're introduced to all the characters. Yeah, I love one. Yes, exactly. I love one take scenes like that. Buffy is like that. The body, when she comes home and finds Joyce on the couch, follows her through the house as she like calls 911, and at one point she like vomits. It like follows her in silence,
and it makes it very uncomfortable.
Shots are so good.
Yeah, same technique, but used in a totally different way. Because on some, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I see what you're doing here. And then on others, like that one is like, I am uncomfortable. Could we please turn the camera away?
Can we do something else? But oh gosh, yeah. I love it. I'll do my number 4 real quick. It will be real quick because I think we could talk about this for hours, and I'll explain what I mean. But I also went MCU because I have always loved the choreographed amazing fight scenes with the character Black Widow. Ironically, in everything in the MCU except for the movie Black Widow, which was very underwhelming, in my opinion. In comparison, I guess I should say. A standalone, if you didn't see those other things and like Civil War and all those other films Black Widow was in, you might say like, oh, this is pretty good. But in comparison, it pales in comparison. But these scenes are so good. I actually did a search to see if I could choose a favorite. And like each time as I scroll, I'm like, oh, that one's really good too. What about this one? She has multiple scenes with Winter Soldier, multiple fight scenes against him. Each one is better than the next. I could not pick one. So over the course of the span that Black Widow is in the Avengers films, gosh, her fight scenes are just so slick.
I think there's a level of acting there that is maybe underrated in those fight scenes as well, because she does such a good job of portraying that she's working harder than everybody else. Because she doesn't have superpowers. Like, she can take down these guys, but she's working harder at it than anybody else who's just, Captain America's out there with his super strength, and what's-his-face is out there with his robot suit. Like, she's working.
She's fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And they do a good job in the tone of her fight scenes in that manner, right? Because she doesn't have superpowers. They do a difference between how Hawkeye attacks things in the early Avengers movies, because he stands back and does acrobatics and flies through the air and shoots his bow and arrow. She's mano-y-mano, right? She's hand-to-hand. And they make a purposeful distinction in what her fight scenes look like. And Scarlett Johansson does a great job, and her stunt doubles, whenever her stunt doubles are in, they're so kung fu-esque, but purposely not kung fu. It's just done really well. Choreographed, thought through, just all of it. Black Widow fight scenes, they're just so good.
Very cool.
And no weapons, right? She rarely, like, she might pick up a gun and shoot it once or twice.
She'll have her little, really like, bracelet things, but that's usually, like, to finish the fight. Does it seem like, she'll subdue the person, and then it's, like, a zap at the end to make sure they don't get back up?
Yeah. Cool. So, number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is one that I have loved for decades, and it is from one of our favorite movies that actually came up recently with some listener mail and talking about our quotable movies, and that is, of course, The Princess Bride.
Oh, yes.
And
okay.
The Princess Bride has this incredible fantasy trope done well of the hero having to move through the 3 like mini bosses to get to the goal, to save the damsel in distress. And the first, mini boss that he has to get past is Inigo Montoya, the swordsman. And you can tell, like, they just do such an amazing job of showing this character how serious they are about sword fighting. This dude is a sword fighter. He's studied sword fighting. He's won tons of sword fights. Like, this is why this guy is on the crew, because he is a sword fighter. And when the hero reaches the top of the cliff and, they're ready to fight, he's like, you know what? I want to give you a minute, because I take sword fighting so seriously. I want you to be at your best. When I kill you with my sword, I want everybody to know that it's because I'm a better sword fighter than you, not because you're all tired from climbing up this cliff. Like, it's very funny in that way. And as they're fighting and doing this just incredible sword fighting choreography through this like rocky, crag, and there's different levels and stairways and all kinds of stuff, he's talking about the craft of sword fighting. Oh, I see you're using this technique to counter my blah, blah, blah technique and all this stuff. So you're like, this dude loves sword fighting. And then we get to the moment of this fight where they're talking about sword fighting and he's talking about how impressive it is. And it's like, well, you're doing very good, but there is something you don't know. I am not left-handed. And then he flips the sword over to his right hand and starts fighting even harder. And you've just watched this amazing fight scene. And now you're like, oh my gosh, it's going to get even crazier. He's right-handed after all. And the movie's happening. And then, of course, the hero pulls the same trick on him. Well, I'm not left-handed either. Bam! And the music swells and the hero goes. It's so good. It's so iconic and memorable. I just absolutely love that. Being someone who is left-handed, I don't know, like maybe that's why it stuck with me so much, but that idea of just like, well, I know something you don't know. I am not left-handed. It's just chef's kiss, one of the most iconic fight scenes of all times, in my opinion.
That is such a good call. And the thing that rings through my head is this is where we as kids learned about respect. You respect your craft, right?
Ooh, I like
because
that.
Inigo Montoya could have just kicked him off the cliff and he would have died. But he's like, I will wait till you're up here and fight
that's what they
like
say. They're like, cut the rope. Wait till he gets towards the top and cut the rope. He's like, nah. I got to fight this guy with my sword.
And they really play out that like, wait, like take a minute. And he takes off his boot and like shakes a big rock out of the boot and puts it back on. Like right. They really put that lampshade on the fact that these two guys respect each other all the way to the end of that great fight scene where you're right. It like slowly builds as they feel each other out and they're bantering through it because they're both used to bantering with the people that they fight and kill. And then they both switch, like, I'm not left-handed. Okay, so then that happens. And then the choreography shifts to be more intense as well.
Yes.
And then we get to the end, and then that it closes with that lampshade of him saying, you're too masterful of a swordsman for me to kill. So he just bonks him on the head and knocks him out. I have the option to kill you. I am not going to kill you. That is such a good fight scene. I love it.
I'm glad you agree. It could have been a number one for sure. Could have been a number one.
It really could have. Yeah, it could. It's number 3. It's right in the middle. My number 3 is similar and not similar at all. I doubt you have seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I know really bloody Quentin Tarantino films aren't really your style. Though I know you have seen some of his early works like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, but I imagine Kill Bill was a hard watch for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of blood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a really cool movie. Actually, I think it's my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie. I really do think it is. And he calls it a love letter to Hollywood in the like 60s. 70s, and it follows fictional actor played by Leonardo DiCaprio and his fictional bodyguard played by Brad Pitt. There's also a lot of people in this movie as well, but the movie is paralleled at the time that the Manson murders are about to happen, and they put Leonardo DiCaprio's character living next door on Cielo Drive from where Sharon Tate and her family lived and her friends were at, and then place accidentally the murderers that are intending to go kill Sharon Tate. They accidentally place them there at at the character of Leonardo DiCaprio's home. They go in there instead of Sharon Tate's house. And the fight scene that ensues with Brad Pitt's character and these 4, and eventually Leonardo DiCaprio, is just wonderful, but it is very bloody. It's very violent. And there's a scene earlier in this movie, like, it's really cool. They have a dude that's playing Bruce Lee, and they're on set, and Brad Pitt's like in a tuxedo. He's kind of laughing at Bruce Lee being bravado about how powerful of a fighter he is. They challenge each other to a fight without hurting each other. It's like whoever can knock each other down. Really well choreographed. So you learn that Brad Pitt's character can actually really fight. And he throws Bruce Lee into a car. It's really great. I highly recommend you look up that scene. It's not bloody at all. It's hilarious. But a really throwback to film at the time. So you learn that Brad Pitt's character can fight. And he's got a dog who's really well trained, and the dog gets in the fight. And it is just so good. And I think what's satisfying about it is you kind of wish it's what really happened instead of what actually happened. You really wish these 4 Manson family people got the fate that they got in this film, because it is very bloody and they all die, rather than going in and murdering pregnant Sharon Tate and the other people who were at her house. So it's satisfying in that way too. Like if history could have been this way instead, it is such a good fight scene. It is so good. I don't recommend you watch it because you will not enjoy it. But to our listeners that don't mind a little bit of gore, it's so good. It's so good.
Okay. Yeah. Number two is from a show that I have spoken extremely highly of over the last couple of years on the podcast. And it is the show Arcane, which is a Netflix animated show based on the world of League of Legends, which is a video game. But again, I say it every time, like, you don't need to know anything about this video game. Like, this show is just this awesome, well fleshed out world of incredible things. Like, there is animation being done in that show that I've never seen before. I compare it to like when you watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and you're just like, what am I seeing on here? It's that good. And the story revolves around two sisters. And in the beginning of the show, we see them as kids in, they live in the Undercity. Things are tough. They're all kind of, very orphany, street rat type kids. And there's this whole crew of them. And of course, the conflict is between, the soldiers and the police state of the upper city and the slums of the lower city. And so there's conflict there. And as little kids, you see them all trying to deal with this conflict, and you see them, trying to hold their friendships together. And there's this dynamic of big sister, little sister. And as these kids go on these heists, or they're trying to go do these different jobs and stuff to rebel against the oppression and stuff, they always want to leave the little sister at home, and she doesn't like that. So she'll come and put herself in danger and like all this kind of stuff. There's this big split that happens, and the little sister goes one way and the others kind of go this way. One of those kids is named Echo. And there is a fight scene, then there's a big time jump. And there's this fight scene where Echo and Jinx, the little sister character, meet at two different factions in this big battle. And the way they do this fight scene on this bridge is awesome. The animation is awesome. And there's all these cool weapons and they're flipping through the air and the animation style is great. But every time they like strike, there's like this snap cut back to them as little kids, and it's like constantly like the imaging is changing to show you what you've seen before of their relationship years forward, and at the same time the animation style is changing. Like really, it's just pop 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 pop, different scenes smash cutting into each other to make this fight scene, but also this like very touching dramatic story playing out from their past. It's maybe I should have chosen, it's hard to explain, but I can say
you're explaining it.
In animation or anywhere, it's one of those things where it's like, I've never seen this done this way before. I love it when the creators take a risk like that. It's like, it would be very easy to just be like, oh yeah, the soldiers on the bridge and the gangsters on the bridge and they're going to fight and Jinx and Echo are going to come together and there's going to be like cool thing. But then they're like, but what if we did it like 3 layers deeper? What if we use this to tell a backstory at the same time, and also just avant-garde animation? Literally, like, it's 3D animation here. Now it's sketch black and white animation. Now it's this. What if we just threw all of that in and made this something special?
I mean, that's really cool. And that's what you said at the end is what I was thinking while you were explaining it, is like they're telling 2 stories at once, right? It's not just about the fight. It's about the history behind it as well. And that's a really unique way to tell it. That's really cool.
I think it would be, if we were looking for something similar, it would be the Stranger Things D&D game, basketball game fight scene thing where everything's kind of happening. Right. It's like that idea where it's like, we could have just made this like a fun fight scene, but we're putting all of this other layer and subtext in it.
There's other context that's going on besides this one battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. My number 3, I have to fit Buffy in because there's so many great fight scenes in Buffy, but in particular, there's a moment where it's a threshold cross for the character of Buffy, and it's the episode Becoming Part 2, which is shortly after Angelus kills Jenny Calendar, and Buffy is struggling because this is like, for her teenage self, the love of her life, who is now evil, who's now killed, and she's got to come to terms that she's gonna have to kill him. And there's a big battle between the two of them with swords, ironically, and it's raining, of course, so it's like water coming down on them, and they're battling in like it's not rain, it's a sprinkler system in the mall. They're like in the mall and fighting. And like they end up in a little courtyard outside the mall and it's raining. I'm getting it a little bit jumped up because so much happens that season, but there's a moment where Angelus has knocked the sword out of Buffy's hands. She's up against a wall, like down with her back against the wall, and he's got the sword, and he's, as Angelus loves to do, he's playing with her mind, and he has a whole little monologue about like, you have no friends left, you have no family left, you know, now that everything's gone, you have nothing. And he like goes to stab her in the head, and her eyes are closed. He goes to stab her in the head, and she stops the sword with her hand.
That.
And then she says, I have me. And then boom, hits him with the butt of the sword against his own head. And it's a defining moment because it like the final scene doesn't happen. There's one more episode after this. So this is Becoming Part 1. I'm sorry. This is Becoming Part 1 because Becoming Part 2 is the end of the season. But that's the end of the first half of this episode where she's like, I'm finally ready to do what it is I have to do. The fight scene itself, it's one of the best fight scenes in all the seasons. And it's a defining moment for Buffy.
Yeah, because the fight scenes, a lot of the time, especially as the seasons went on and they were like, oh, you know, we're going to open the show with her killing vampires. It was kind of simple, right? It was like, we're getting to the point where like, now she goes on patrols and she kills vampires. It's not a big deal to fight a vampire anymore. So then every once in a while, we had to be like, no, this is actually a powerful person because there's a good choreographed fight scene, right?
Yes. So the whole first season, most of those fight scenes that Buffy has are exactly that, killing vampires. It's not a real big battle scene against the Master that year. We come back to season 2 and same thing. They're killing vampires and it's very acrobatic and she karate chops and kicks and stakes and does all the things. But now this is to someone powerful. This is Angel. And so she's got the emotional battle within herself as well as the physical battle of someone who is a very strong vampire. Yeah, it's a turning point for her as a character. In itself is a good fight scene standalone.
Right.
And that gets us to our number ones.
To squeeze a Buffy the Vampire Slayer in there.
It really wasn't squeezing. It makes me think of, it has a mirror connection to me to your number one. There's a very similar scene in your number one in which after I saw it in the theater, I did a side-by-side picture of Buffy holding the sword and your number one character stopping the sword with her hands as well. It's actually really cool. So tell us your number one.
Fantastic. Well, my number one is this is funny too, because when I was thinking about what my number one is, I was like, oh, well, it's the Get Up Spider-Man fight from Into the Spider-Verse. And I was like, no, wait, I remember talking about that at length on the show. Maybe it was the Spider-Man episode, but I definitely like got this feeling of like, did we already do this episode? But anyway, this one is from a comic book movie, and I would say it is the best. All right, nerds, come at me. This is the best action fight scene in any DC movie ever.
Ooh, okay.
Take that.
I see where you're going.
Take that, Zack Snyder. And this is the No Man's Land scene from the Wonder Woman movie, where she is walking through just a battlefield, a World War II trench battlefield, through hails of bullets and grenades and missiles. It kind of like the composition of a Wonder Woman in her red and blue and gold over this dusty, dreary, gray, miserable battlefield. The way that she is stirring and inspiring the allies as they're moving through, and just the absolute badassery of Wonder Woman shaking off these attacks and using, on display her invulnerability and her superpowers, her reactions, and the way that she's doing things. Like, I mean it's the coolest scene in all of DC movies over the last however many years. It's so good.
It may be the coolest battle scene featuring a female character, superhero or not. I mean, you nailed it, right? That scene is everything you would know about like a World War I, World War II movie, right? It's everything you would know about that. And then plop down in the middle of it is a woman, Wonder Woman, who just doesn't care. She doesn't understand why the men are all hiding in the trench. And she looks at them and goes, what are we doing? And the dialogue before this is like, we lose too many men. We can't get past this part. This is where we're stuck. We're going to lose the war if we don't get past this, and we don't know what to do. And she just climbs up the ladder and does it. She doesn't think. She just does. And that whole scene of her like slow-mo, she's not even running. She's walking through this massive battlefield and just using what she knows to be like, this is ridiculous. We need to get past this. Like I almost, I battled to put this on my number one.
I saw that it wasn't, so I grabbed it. In fact, it was funny making the list. I filled out my number one first, right?
Yeah,
like I was like, well, that's going to be the one. And then kind of worked and did some negotiation, but yeah.
I cheated because I made the doc. I'm like, I'm putting this number one first because I know Rob wants this is number one too. Which we can go to my number one. My number one is that big, talk about one shot. This is a one shot scene.
Yes.
That is also incredibly long. I should have looked up how long it is. And it is just Jackie Chan, almost in final girl status, using whatever is in the room around him in this big pool hall, taking on like 30 dudes who are trying to kill him. 1995's Rumble in the Bronx. I mean, this was
a
jaw-dropping.
Yes, absolutely.
Just sat in the theater and couldn't believe.
You will never see anything like this again. No one in their right mind would make a fight scene like this without editing, without CGI, with like the practical effects. You could see the flour that they're putting under their shirts and on their shoes so that you get the little like
the poof
action puffs of when they're making impact, the real impact they are making as they are literally just beating each other up with stunt fighting. It's amazing.
And if you think about it, because it's a one shot, if there was a missed piece of choreography or someone's poof of flour or whatever didn't go off, they'd have to start at the very beginning. Like this is a non-edited one shot. Maybe it's only 3 or 4 minutes long, but in movie talk, that is like a 20-minute feature just on this one fight scene that moves around this pool hall.
And that commitment to making that kind of fighting and stunt choreography important is what led to so many injuries on those sets. If you were only doing those fight scenes 6-second edits at a time, people don't get hurt like they did on Jackie Chan movies, especially Jackie Chan himself. You know, every movie would be like this blooper reel at the end of how he hurt himself and broke his foot and this and that. And again, that's another reason why like you just won't see anything like this anymore, because it's not only incredibly impressive, but it's difficult, but dangerous.
Yeah. I remember watching the bloopers at the end of Rumble in the Bronx, and that's the one where they very clearly show he broke his ankle doing a stunt. And the whole rest of the film, he's wearing a cast, and they made a rubber cast cover to look like his shoe. And we're just sitting there going, the entire time he wasn't wearing sneakers, he was wearing a cast it's just absurd. This fight scene I don't know that you can get any better.
That's an incredible choice, Annalise. Incredible choice. What
I stole
an awesome an inspiration to go watch that scene. Like again, after this is going to be so fun, and I hope listeners like are following along. Just like go on YouTube and watch it and be like, actually, that's really, really good.
And I watched the No Man's Land Wonder Woman scene. I'm like, I need to put this on my list, but I don't know where to put it. I'm glad you chose it because I toggled with that. I struggled with that a lot.
Awesome. All right. That's 10 fight scenes out of 10,000 that are available and other people's favorites. So this should be a fun one as far as listener engagement. What are your top 5 fight scenes, or what is your absolute favorite fight scene of all time? Please remember to write in podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. We can't wait to go through this one.
It's my favorite part of the episode, Rob. I think it's yours too. What's the nerdiest thing you did this week?
Okay, so the nerdiest thing I did this week is, I guess I'm a prop builder now because...
What?
Well, in my house, springtime is theater season.
Yes.
You know, the spring musicals. And of course, Andrew, America's favorite teen nerd, is in a few different ones. And Andrew's mom, my wife, Maria, is very excited about helping out with production and costuming and prop building. I have a recently new 3D printer. So it has been... completely taken over to make all kinds of different props for several musicals, from chalices to cups to severed hands to skulls to all kinds of things that are needed. It's been really fun, and it's awesome that I could help out this way. Awesome that we've been trying to figure out how to like paint things differently and do effects, visual effects on things differently. But yeah, I've really just kind of 3D print as a supplement to my gaming hobbies, right? My tabletop miniatures nerd hobbies. Like, well, you got to have a 3D printer because you want to make cool sets and, little tools for that. And that's kind of the extent of what I've used it for until now. Now I'm printing things that I never would just print to print, but it's going to be very cool as well to see them being used and like look up on stage and be like, oh my God, I made that. I made that. Mostly Maria made everything. She just sends me files and I print them for them. But yeah, the room is covered with all kinds of new fun things that never existed before. And it does still just blow my mind that, yesterday, this was a spool of plastic. And today it's, whatever it is that I'm holding up. It's just so cool. Yeah, we can add prop building parts to my list of nerdy hobbies now, I guess.
Well, I mean, for argument's sake, you have been a prop builder before. I mean, we made an entire underworld Isis and Osiris set. However, I can only imagine how much more creative we would have been if you had a 3D printer like that back then, 20 years ago.
That is a very good point. Back in the day when we were doing marching band shows and designing drumline shows for high schools, we were making props and we were painting stuff and building things. Yeah, interesting. That is definitely a fun set of skills as far as like, okay, I need this to look like the inside of an ancient temple. I have poster paints and cardboard. Figure it out.
That was honestly, there are so many fun parts about the things we did back then. And obviously we reaped some success out of the things we were doing. But the part the kids didn't see was the sitting around and figuring out how to do those things with the technology we had at the time, right? How do you make a drum set to go pew, 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 and have it be wireless? Nowadays, that would be a piece of cake. But we had to like figure out how to make it happen with a generator that wasn't making a lot of sound. And like, that was a lot of fun.
Car battery.
Car battery tied up to a thing that had a speaker.
And then the choreography, we'd spin the rack, like we built a rack for it and we'd spin it around and the centrifugal force would launch the car battery off the side of the...
Or it would unplug the kit. Like now you would have built some sort of housing for the thing, but now it would be battery powered because we have that ability to do it. And like,
and the batteries would be this big instead of... out of a Chevrolet.
Exactly. But so I'm going to argue that you've been a prop builder, but in this case, now 20 some odd years later, you are taking that to the next level and applying it to a different kind of stage show. So
I love it. I appreciate
I'm more than sure you're flexing those wings.
I appreciate that perspective. That is fun to think about and reminisce about those times. And, lots of problem solving.
Yes.
Back then. And I think that's what Maria really loves about it, is that inventive problem solving of like, well, it's a stage show. It's practical effects. How are we going to make this look like this with what we have? It's very interesting.
Right.
So that's what's been going on around here.
That's good stuff.
What is the nerdiest thing you did this week, Annalise?
Well, a couple episodes ago, I talked about the Final Girl 4 Kickstarter, and I did it. I pledged all in.
Good.
I did.
Right on.
And I think, so Van Ryder Games is saying this is the end of an era for Final Girl. And what they mean by that is they are going to cease making these series sets, gigantic boxes. And I get it. I can only imagine how much work it is to put all of that together and have it ready for a Kickstarter and have it play tested and the art done and then sent over to be made. And it typically takes a year and a half from the Kickstarter to the people getting their stuff. And I mean, it's massive because each ultimate box has a box of props. It has all the lore books and scenario books. It has all the minis that come with everything. It has each vignette, which each one has 5 vignettes plus, 5 feature films plus a vignette that can be added to everything. Yeah, every series has a ton of stuff. So after this series 4 is delivered, they are just going to make games as they see fit and not anymore do these big sets. So I'm all in, Kickstarter. It's going to arrive sooner. It's going to arrive within this calendar year because they've already made the games and you can buy them individually right now.
Your fourth time around, you know what you're doing.
And they're already made. Like everything's already being done, right? So yeah. And I did learn that.
Are you interested in what that company does next. Like if they kind of stay in this lane as like, we make ultimate solo games, because I think that's like game wise, that's what it's known for, right? It's a solo game that is just like infinitely replayable and collectible. So I wonder what's next for them. Is that going to be the lane they stay in? And then they're going to do like another expansion or modification of that mechanic and be the solo game company? Are they going to go in and be like, well, we're the horror game company and now we're going to make cooperative games, but it's going to be in this horror genre? Does that interest you at all? Or are you like, nope, Final Girl's done. I'm done with this, all these boxes of these minis?
They produce other games right now, and I've seen some stuff that pique my interest, but I am trying not to buy more games, right? So that's my thing. Like, I think they've had a few that I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I might get into this, but my hesitation coming from the fact that I have a shelf full. I don't know where I'm going to fit this game now, but I have a shelf full of games that I don't play enough. So for me, it's
for a new shelf.
There's that. And also there is the reality that I don't need to buy the games. I can always go to my friendly local game store and play them. It's a yes and. I think they have other games that are other niches as well, but this one just happens to be within my favorites. So I will continue. And what I like about their Era 2 is that it's all compatible with Era 1. So you don't have to buy a new core box. You don't have to like go and get new stuff. You can just keep playing it. It's going to allow me to pick and choose the films that interest me. Because there's at least one in each of the series so far that I'm like, yeah, I'll play once to play, but I'll just play the other ones more. So the fact that I can pick and choose as they build it and not worry about whether or not something's going to disappear off the shelves, right? They are saying right now that after this run, they're not going to make any more series 1, 2, and 3, right? So
got it. Get it while you can. Yeah.
Get it while you can. This is the last time. And they're being really explicit. I really appreciate that. But I mean, Van Roder Games does a good job with their other games as well. AJ, the guy who created Final Girl, has other games and other things going around too on Kickstarter and stuff. So it's got to pique my interest. And if I don't buy any more giant luxury box games, I'll be okay. There's plenty of Final Girl to be played now.
Likewise. Not saying it's not going to happen, though.
I mean, it's got to be something pretty special. I'm not saying no, but I'm saying like, I'll avoid it if I can.
Very cool.
Next week on Nerd Best Friends, it's the ultimate nerd check-in. What are you doing? Catch up with me and Rob as we talk about the things we are currently nerding out over, things we're working hard on finishing. Before you go, join us. Hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Drop us a 5-star rating and help more nerds find our people. Find us on social media at Nerd Best Friends or email podcast@nerdbestfriends.com. Grow the nerd herd, spread the geeky joy. We'll see you next time.
I cannot wait to hear about all of your favorite fight scenes when you write in, and we will, of course, mention them and review them on the show.
Welcome to Nerd Best Friends. The pod. It is you. I'm sorry. This is episode. This is episode.
Is it episode? We're going to eat some apples
today.
In the episode.
In the applesauce.
I'll turn this episode into applesauce. It's the applesauce.
You know, one of these days we're going to be recording.
Number 5.
We're going to be recording and not having any editing, and this is going to make an episode. It's going to make the bloopers anyways.
Number 2, grandmas. Number 3.
Hey,
I don't know.
Respect to the grandmas.
If I have 5 applesauce brands.
Applesauce. Mott's. There's Mott's.
That was my number 5.